This conference will now be recorded.
Board members who remain committed to community service. And so, as with every new year, I by resolution do declare this year, 2023, another year of opportunity and challenge. Our regular meetings will be held the first Tuesday of each month, and our workshops will be the last Wednesday. Rules of order governing the town of North Elba shall be pursuant to Section 63 of town law, allowing any board member, including the supervisor, to bring a motion and a second motion before said motion becomes a vote. That Councilwoman Kilburn Politi be appointed at the pleasure of the supervisor to the position of deputy supervisor, with the power to sign all checks of the town of North Elba and preside over all meetings and functions during the absence of inability to act as supervisor. That the supervisor of the town of North Elba, or in the supervisor's absence or inability to act, the deputy supervisor shall have the authority to perform such ministerial functions and duties necessary and appropriate to the business affairs of all districts of the town during those occasions when the town board is not in session, and the supervisor or the deputy supervisor shall report such actions to the town board at the next regularly scheduled meeting. In the event a district-related issue involves a matter that could require a policy determination by the board as a whole, or require a commitment or expenditure of funds not previously approved and authorized, the supervisor or the deputy supervisor acting in accordance with town law shall commence a special meeting of the governing board. That the town board approve the recommendation of Lori Curtis Dudley, town clerk, registrar, of Chelsea Giesler as deputy clerk registrar. That Catherine Edmond be appointed as budget officer for the town of North Elba, the North Elba Park District, and all special districts to perform electronic banking transactions for accounts payable and all payroll functions, as well as having the authorization to sign checks if the supervisor and deputy supervisor are unavailable. That Mark Shackner be appointed as attorney for the town. That Todd Anthony be appointed as the sole assessor for the town of North Elba to maintain the town and village tax assessments. That the board appoints Chelsea Giesler as clerk to the supervisor. That the town board appoint Karen Fountain to be named as town historian. That Catherine Edmond be appointed as human resource coordinator. That Michael Orticelli and Darcy Whitney serve as the town's building code inspectors with the function of overseeing building inspections, fire codes, and enforcement actions in the town of North Elba and village of Lake Placid. That Timothy Smith, Esquire, be appointed as the attorney for the Joint Review Board and Planning Commission, and shall also fill out the attorney for the Zoning Board of Appeals in all instances where there is a conflict, or if said attorney is unable to attend a particular meeting. The compensation for such services shall not exceed $11,561.63 per year, plus appropriate health insurance benefits. That William Kissel, Esquire, be appointed as the attorney for the Zoning Board of Appeals to serve at the pleasure of the board and to fill in for Attorney Smith in all instances where Attorney Smith has a conflict or is unable to attend such meetings. The compensation for such services shall not exceed $7,349.60 per year, plus appropriate health insurance benefits. That David Wright be appointed as the clerk of the Review Board and the Zoning Board of Appeals. That Amberly Rounds and Chris Fadden act on behalf of the town of North Elba as animal control officers pursuant to local law and be appointed as town constables. That Sharice Bixler be appointed beautification coordinator. I need a motion to accept these first 16 items. Moved by Dick, seconded by Jason. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. None being opposed, carried. So let's see. So that was Dick.
This conference will now be recorded.
Sorry, now we'll get off. Okay, we should be good. Thank you, Jake.
For 1 week. Just Dave shows up and it works.
That's how it works.
That's right.
See if you have admin control of this, if you're in control of this, or if you just joined.
How do I tell them?
Um,
Well, I wouldn't be able to mute someone, right? If
Right,
I-
right.
So I do.
Exactly. Okay,
Thank you, Dave.
What was it, a reboot?
yeah. I cleared out the cache to the browser.
It was something he can't tell you. He just.
There's a reason why we pay him, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Cleared out the browser got something. It was holding on to some information or something, I don't know.
All right.
Exactly what it was. I can't tell you. I'll be honest.
We know. No, no, for that part.
Within next month, let's
Yes.
confirm canvas.
Next day or two. Yeah, I got.
Keep me on your list, that's
You're
all.
you're on there.
I don't push anybody into a corner.
Okay.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna hang here for a minute.
Number 17,
Thank you, Dave.
that the following town board committee appointments as recommended by the supervisor be approved for 2023. And what I'd like you all to know, what I did is I consolidated that whole list of like, I don't know, it seems like 30 some committees. Many of them should be together. So you'll understand, and basically here's what, you each got 3 appointments. I'm sorry, Rick, you're turning the barrel, you got 4. But you'll understand why, because you each have strengths in different areas. So for Lake Placid Village issues and Saranac Lake Village issues, I'm appointing Councilman Leon and Councilwoman Kilburn Politi. For Highway, Landfill, and Airport, Councilman Cummings, Councilman Preston. For Fire Department, Hospital, and Ambulance, Councilman Cummings and Councilman Preston. For North Country Community College and the School District, Councilman Leon, Councilman Preston. For Orda and Park District, Supervisor Doty, Councilwoman Kilburn Politi. For BTI Program, Councilman Leon, Councilman Preston. For Labor Relations, Employee Policies, and Finance, Councilman Cummings and Councilman Leon. For Building, Codes, Office, Zoning, STR, and Assessor, Supervisor Doty, Councilwoman Kilburn Politi. That wraps up all of our committees. And certainly, I'd like to leave it this way, even though it's not printed in our organizational meeting. If only one person can go to a meeting, let me know. We can all fill in wherever. Because as you know, in this last year, there were only a couple areas where we needed to meet. So it isn't an imperative thing. I would like each of you to be better known to these committees that you're put on. In other words, like Dick and Emily got involved in Park District last year and met a few times with Butch. We're going to continue that effort because of the direction we're going. Things like North Country Community College are a hard sell, so it's kind of up to you guys. If something looks like it's marketable or we could help with North Country, just put it upon yourselves to track down Joe Keegan and make something happen. Okay, number 18, that the town of North Elba continues as a member of the New York State Association of Towns. That Supervisor Doty be the delegate and that Councilwoman Kilburn Politi be the alternate to the Association of Towns, and further authorizing the attendance of any board members or appropriate others and the payment of their actual or necessary expenses for said meetings as authorized by state law. That Councilwoman Kilburn Politi and Councilman Leon be representatives of the North Elba Town Youth Commission. That Buzzy Rickard be appointed constable to patrol the Lake Placid area. That the National Bank and Trust, Adirondack Bank, Community Bank, and the Champlain National Bank be recognized as official depositories of the town of North Elba funds. That the Lake Placid News and the Adirondack Daily Enterprise be designated as the official newspapers of the town of North Elba. That salaries and wages of all town employees be set forth by the town of North Elba Town Board in accordance with section 27 of town law. That the town clerk be empowered in the absence of the supervisor and/or town board to open all competitive bids record same, and report to the town board. That the Essex County Board of Ethics serve as the appropriate body for the determination and adjudication of all town ethical issues. That all travel expenses, including mileage, must be itemized and/or logged and/or documented before payment. That the mileage allowances for official town business be 65.5 cents per mile. That a petty cash fund of $200 be established for town clerk's office. That a petty cash fund of $200 be established for the collection of taxes by the town clerk tax collector. That the use of any town credit cards be done so subject to the provisions of the town credit card policy. That Councilwoman Kilburn Politi be appointed to serve as North Elba's liaison to the Lake Placid North Elba Development Commission and the JRB APA Affordable Housing Study Committee. That make sense?
Yeah, except for, is that something new? That last part that you
No, I'm
said?
just following last year's.
Okay.
Yep,
Into this, you got it.
yep.
You're earning that now.
32, that Butch Martin be appointed as North Elba's representative for Essex County Youth Board. So from item 16 to 32, I need a motion to accept.
You get.
Dick, second? I'll let Rick take this one. But thanks, Jason. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
None opposed, carried. Item 33, that the town superintendent of highways be authorized to purchase materials and equipment not to exceed $7,000 without prior approval of the town board. Authorize the payment in advance of claims for utility services, postage, freight, fire protection, express charges, and statutory debt. That the hiring and firing of all town, park district, and highway employees be subject to prior approval of the town board, except as otherwise provided by the policy manual and/or by statute. That the town of North Elba shall provide for the defense and indemnification of town employees who may be sued for acts or omissions in their official capacities as provided by Section 18 of the Public Officers Law and the Town of North Elba Local Law of 1980. That the supervisor be empowered to execute and sign all contracts and agreements for services on behalf of the town of North Elba. That the supervisor is authorized to file a copy of the annual report of the town 90 days after close of the 2023 fiscal year and may cause the clerk to publish a summary of the same in the Lake Placid News. That all appropriation accounts of the town of North Elba, the North Elba Park District, and all special districts be encumbered, and such balances carried forward to the 2023 appropriations for the purpose of paying the 2022 amounts encumbered. That the board approve the investment policies and procedures of the town investment policy suggested by the Office of the State Controller of New York. That all monies received by the town clerk as tax collector shall be deposited within 32 hours of the receipt at an official depository of the town of North Elba. That all monies be invested in interest-bearing accounts at any and all times when possible. That the bills for audit be either certified or notarized. That there shall be a charge of $20 on each check tendered as payment to the town, which is returned for insufficient funds pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 85. That the supervisor, in consultation with the North Elba Town Board, shall utilize the services of the Essex County Resources Department for all grant writing assistance. That the approved minutes of any regular meeting or special meeting of the town board will be posted on the town website. How is that website, by the way?
I got an
Sounds like-
update under committee reports.
Good, good.
Good, have sent it to Lee too. Okay, please.
That all municipal officers and employees be held accountable for any actions pursuant to Article 18 of the General Municipal Law, Section 805-A, relative to conflicts of interest or the disclosure of confidential information. That the town of North Elba has approved a sexual harassment policy that shall pertain to all town employees, appointed officials, representatives, and elected officials. Okay, from 32 to 48, I need a motion to accept. Not a word here. Second?
Come on, stand down.
Yeah.
No, we're trying to keep it moving. Trying to keep it moving, okay?
Sometimes to see who can move.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Carried. Number 49, procurement policy. Oh, I love this one. Whereas Section 104B of the General Municipal Law requires every town to adopt internal policies and procedures governing all procurement of goods and services not subject to the bidding requirements of General Municipal Law 103 or any other law. And whereas comments have been solicited from these officers of the town involved with procurement, now therefore be it resolved that the town of North Elba does hereby adopt the following procurement policies and procedures. Guideline 1. Every prospective purchase of goods or services shall be evaluated to determine the applicability of General Municipal Law 103. Every town officer, board, department head, or other personnel with the requisite purchasing authority, hereafter purchaser, shall estimate the cumulative amount of the items of supply of equipment needed in a fiscal year. That estimate shall include the canvass of other town departments and past history to determine the likely year value of the commodity to be acquired. The information gathered and conclusions reached shall be documented and kept with the file or other documentation supporting the purchasing activity. Get that?
Every word.
I was going to ask for an explanation.
Basically, just follow last year's and document
You could have asked me to read it again, just for clarity.
it. Guideline 2, all purchases of supplies or equipment which will exceed $20,000 in the fiscal year, or B, public works contracts over $35,000 shall be formally bid pursuant to General Municipal Law 103. Guideline 3, all estimated purchases of over $20,000, formal bidding and legislative approval pursuant to General Municipal Law 103. Less than $20,000 but greater than $10,000 require a written request for proposal and written fax quotes from 3 vendors. Less than $10,000 but greater than $1,000 requires an oral request for the goods and oral fax quotes from 2 vendors. Less than $1,000 are left to the discretion of the purchaser. All estimated public work contracts of over $35,000 need a formal bidding and legislative approval pursuant to General Municipal Law 103. Less than $35,000 but greater than $20,000 requires a written RFP and fax proposal from 3 contractors. Less than $20,000 but greater than $3,000 requires a written RFP and fax proposals from 2 contractors. Less than $3,000 but greater than 0 are left to the discretion of the purchaser. Any written RFP shall describe the desired goods, quantity, and the particulars of delivery. The purchaser shall compile a list of all vendors from whom written fax oral quotes have been requested and the written fax oral quotes offered. All information gathered in complying with the procedures of the guideline shall be preserved and filed with documentation supporting the subsequent purchase of public works contract. Guideline 4. The lowest responsible bidder shall be awarded the purchase or public works contract unless the purchaser prepares a written justification providing reasons why it is in the best interest of the town and its taxpayers to make an award to other than the low bidder. If a bidder is not deemed responsible, facts supporting the judgment shall also be documented and filed with the record supporting the procurement. Guideline 5. A good faith effort shall be made to obtain the required number of proposals or quotations. If the purchaser is unable to obtain the required amount of proposals or quotations, The purchaser shall document the attempts made at obtaining the proposals. In no event shall the inability to obtain the proposals or quotes be a bar to the procurement. Guideline 6, except when directed by the town board, no solicitation of written proposals or quotations shall be required under the following circumstances. Acquisition of professional services. Procurement of insurance requires 2 quotations, verbal or written. C, sole source situation. D, goods purchased from agencies for the blind or severely handicapped. E, goods purchased from correctional facilities. F, goods purchased from another governmental agency. G, goods purchased at auction. H, in case of public emergency or the life, health, or safety of town inhabitants. I, utility bills and postage. Guideline 7, this policy shall be reviewed annually by the town board at its organizational meeting or as soon thereafter as reasonably practicable. The resolution, now it's time. Resolution was moved by,
Dick.
Yes.
seconded by
His turn.
Jason.
I want Jason's second, that way he can't vote against.
Uh,
Well, I can still vote against it, that just moves it to a vote.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Carried. Supervisor Doty stated that there is no further business to come before this organizational meeting. So once again, I need a motion to accept the organization.
I beat you.
Oh, are we doing this?
You're
Family
back.
Feud type stuff right now, huh?
Seconded by Rick.
His turn.
Further discussion? Favor? Aye. No one opposed? Carried. This meeting ended at 5:36?
33.
3? Respectfully submitted. Myself.
Good job.
Excellent job. You didn't stammer or stumble at
Oh,
all.
I tripped over a few of them.
Oh, you did fine.
I can just hear you reading the next Audible book. Town Board Minutes by Derek Jordan.
But you know that I already have a key, because I have a key.
Practice in front of the mirror.
That's select board, so you know. If I need it, I know where to find it.
All right, I only ran over by a few minutes. Welcome, everyone. Right? Oh, you're gonna hang out a minute? A little while. Good to see you. We've opened all the meetings, so I don't think there's any need to pledge allegiance. But I'd like to open this town board meeting in official capacity. Let's see. Let's go right to our presentations. With us tonight is Brian Woods. Did Joe come with you?
He's not coming tonight, it's just me.
Not a big deal at all. Brian Woods represents ARDA, or the Adirondack Rail Trail Association. Why don't you come on right up? Take center stage, Brian.
Should I take a seat or?
Sure.
Yes. Thank you for,
You don't have to stand to address this.
Oh, no.
well, thank you so much for making the time to speak with me about tonight's agenda item. For those of you who are unfamiliar, and I don't know that there's anyone who's unfamiliar with the rail trail discussion in this town, but ARDA is a community-based not-for-profit organization. We were founded in 2010. I am still newish to the job starting in October, but the first employee of ARDA, we've shifted from a volunteer-based organization to where we are now. And our mission is to promote the business and municipal interests along the 34-mile Adirondack Rail Trail. So tonight's item is the Memorandum of Understanding, and ARDA is seeking to enter the Memorandum of Understanding with all of the trail towns and villages, we're calling them trail towns, along the rail corridor. And that would allow ARDA to, in consultation with the municipalities, develop a multi-community plan for the trail. And that would essentially be everything that exists off of the trail to support what goes on the trail. So that's signage, volunteer management, access and parking that's not clearly defined by the DEC, facilities, amenities, bathrooms, bike racks, and then the promotion of the trail. And this would all be done in compliance with applicable zoning and land use laws, rules, and regulations of each respective trail town.
Let me move into, if you might explain, I think you have a couple other communities on board already.
Yep.
And maybe talk a little bit about, in moving down the road, like, basically I understand that you want us to be a contributing member. We'll all get together and come up with the rules or the ideas or whatever. But we don't have any financial obligation to what ARTA will do on its own.
Exactly.
So in wanting us to be a contributing member, I have to look down the road far enough to know that very soon you'll be saying, you don't have a say in what we're doing now financially, but we'd like you to pony up and help us make it work.
Yeah, I think I think there are creative ways to address that. We've already entered into agreements with the town of Tupper Lake, village of Tupper Lake, town of Harrietstown, and village of Saranac Lake. We're on the agenda for Santa Clara next week, the 12th, I want to say. But with all these agreements, there's no financial commitment. What we will be doing in the coming days is for all of the municipalities who have entered into this agreement, we will be sending a formal invitation to nominate a representative of the town to ARTA's board. That would give you a voting presence on the board. That individual does not need to be an elected official, but certainly could be.
Right.
Additionally, we will be inviting members of the community, predominantly the business community, to have a seat on the ARTA board. That will allow some of the individuals who are currently on the board, that have been on the board for 10, 12 years to phase out. In terms of funding and that commitment, it's certainly not something that we're asking for right now. We have the ability, and this MOU is largely going to put us in a better position to apply for grants that might be difficult for some of the municipalities to do on their own. And having this in place gives us some formal standing to actually apply for those grants. I think down the road, if there is flexibility with, at the county level for, given the bed tax increases, for that to be, put our way to help, not help ARTA as an organization do something that we don't already want to do, but really we're seeking to fund activities that will promote and monitor and maintain the trail. So we want to be able to support it in a way that the DEC as an entity on its own is not perhaps equipped, not prepared to do. We want to support them with what they've said they need help with, and that's the annual maintenance cost at about $1,500 per mile of the trail. That comes to over $50,000 every year to maintain the trail. We're in a position to help raise money for that, and we're in a position to help, really boots on the ground with the kind of seasonal, annual, daily maintenance of the trail, be it adding accessible portable toilets that are not already planned for construction, monitoring litter removal, blowdowns, all of that. We want to help the DEC. We want to help the municipalities think about this from two different perspectives. What goes on the trail, that's going to be predominantly our relationship with DEC, and then kind of what goes on off the trail. And that's working with the business community, working with the municipalities on how can we make this a successful part of the infrastructure of each community.
So ARTA is working, you answer this in two ways. One, the ARTA is partnering with DEC. Is there an actual contract with DEC that
we've submitted, so it's not signed yet, but we've submitted a volunteer stewardship agreement with DEC.
Like ADK Mountain Club?
Exactly, like so one of the approved seats in our bylaws, on our board is with the New York State Snowmobile Association. Their chair, Jennifer Sam, sits on our board. They have an approved VSA with DEC. It's kind of a new process for this entire corridor because the jurisdiction of the trail transferred really just this past year from DOT to DEC. So it's a bit of a new process. It's something, a VSA of this scope. So they have our application currently with them.
So I guess I envision your role as being twofold in how you explained it. It's one with DEC and then two with businesses that are along the corridors that
Exactly.
can be benefited.
Yeah.
And ARDA has nothing to do with anything beyond Tupper because it turns into a rail.
Yeah, and that's it. So we were working with the snowmobile clubs and NICE of the State Snowmobile Association on kind of just talking about what goes on from Tupper to Old Forge. But in terms of the rail trail itself, we are kind of rebranding, so to speak, to focus on the 34 miles between Lake Placid and Tupper Lake and making those 34 miles the best they can be, not focusing on the rail that's in existence beyond that.
Brian, once the coalition is put together, I'm assuming like there will be an executive committee that works with DEC. And how will representation be at that level for the towns?
So I think that one of the things that we have, because we will have a formal, once, yes, you mentioned the kind of the new coalition. Once that is fully formed, our goal is to have that done by the end of February. But once that's done, we will be inviting DC to our board meetings, and that's every other month. And because we want there to be kind of an open and ongoing dialogue with them, because there are so many questions that we get from the public, from municipalities, from businesses about what's going on, speed limits, access ways. So it really is important that if they have jurisdiction over that they are the answers, that they hold all of the answers.
Sure.
We are just in perhaps a better position to relay those answers to the different areas of interest. So we want DEC at those meetings. I have pretty much weekly contact with Keith Garrow, who's the project manager for the rail trail, and Keith's supervisor Rob Daly. So I think there's ongoing dialogue to ensure that everything is done hand in hand, and that we as an organization, ARDA, is not getting ahead of DEC on any of this. We're really just trying to be prepared because we see this is going to be, these 9 miles between Lake Placid and Saranac Lake are going to be done by September at the latest. We need to have infrastructure in place to support it before September.
Right.
Otherwise, we're behind the 8 ball, and there won't be bathrooms, there won't be volunteer units in place to support it, there won't be trash removal. We really want to make sure that all of that is running on day one.
I mean, just as a quick example, Meadowbrook campsite sits right on the tracks. The state has a perfect ability right there to be an offshoot for bathrooms, something as simple as.
Yeah, and some of that is built into the plan, but I think that there's a lot of that still needs to be ironed out in terms of what is planned in terms of construction, in terms of new construction, what is planned in terms of connecting construction, like to existing bathrooms to the Lake Clear Airport. There's talk about possible connector there, but the DC has explicitly identified to us that it would be benefit to them if we would assist with providing the funding, the funding for that, and we've looked into that with a few groups to what the funding would be for regular and accessible tours.
Just to have all the communities sitting at the same table for promotion, that's exciting alone.
Yeah, because I think that the fact that the trail is extending 34 miles between all of these communities, the signage on the trail is going to be uniform. We know what that looks like. Everyone's been on DEC, even if it's exclusive branding to the rail trail. But everything that occurs off of that, that's up to us.
Sure.
So it's really to have a conversation about what looks good, what what can be uniformly agreed upon so that there's a kind of experience that occurs for individuals that are traveling the trail, and they know when they get off Lake Placid, directions to a bathroom, to restaurants, to lodging, that's going to be the same as somewhere else, because you won't just have individuals doing
Their own thing.
their own thing.
Right.
It won't just be someone who's going to Tupper Lake and back. There's only going to be a couple of those in one day. There might be individuals that are doing this in days, in groups, as a vacation. So you really want to kind of have a uniform experience the moment that they step off the trail, so they know where they're going and they have access to everything they want access to.
Has the issue of enforcement been talked about at all?
Yes.
Or monitoring, or maybe enforcement is a little strong word for.
No, I think it's appropriate. I think especially given the season that we're in right now with snowmobiles, or it's sort of snowmobile season right now, depending on the day of the week. But I think that's kind of the highest risk category, because those are large vehicles traveling at high speeds. So, we have the park rangers out there, New York State out there, and police when and where it is possible for them to be stationed. So that's certainly been up for discussion, the kind of the need for that and respect for businesses and property owners that live along the trail, because in a bunch of areas, especially out past Saranac Lake, the trail is within 100 feet of individuals' primary dwelling. So
Sure.
We certainly want to, we're in a position that we can do some educational practices and norms for trail users, so that their understanding of, if you're traveling after this time of the day, this is what the speed limit should be. If you're traveling during the day, this is what the speed limit should be. This is where bathrooms are, so that you're not inventing your own bathroom. So we really want to have kind of an educational policy and platform for trail users, so that they understand what's going on. We've seen that to some success in the high peaks, and we want to do a lot of that here on the rail trail.
One thing I know there's been discussion at various stops where people can park and things like that. And there's a lot of municipal property along the way. But I know on this end, there isn't. So has there been any further discussion with landowner or whatever, owners for any parking on this end?
On this end. So I met with the individuals at the Open Space Institute about their trailhead location. Is that something that all of you have seen? What that looks like? Okay, that's something I'll share.
Rumor.
Now there are drawings for that, and it would include
Train station?
so it's adjacent to the train station. It's not added, but just on the other side, and that's land that they've purchased that I think they are looking. No, I'm being recorded.
Well.
They are looking to kind of shift back to either the town or the village, and so I think that they're looking for that after kind of funding.
So, but they purchased the property from the Historical Society years ago or recently? Like, was it the intent to be like a terminus for the rail trail?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, so they're not seeking to do anything to the depot of the Historical Society.
Yeah.
It's land that was not currently in use, that is 100 yards down from that, away from Lisa G's and everything. So, and that would be, I'm blanking on the number of parking spaces that are there. It's a small to medium-sized lot with a couple of accessible bathrooms, some signage for educational and wayfinding purposes, and then it would connect to the trail. It does not afford enough space for snowmobile trailer parking, so that would have to occur kind of in the location that the snowmobilers are parking right now.
So were you in touch with have you talked to the landowner, the private landowner at some point, and not open to letting us use it on the terminus of the old station?
Oh, the station. So I think that,
At least that land, I mean, not the station.
yeah,
Yeah.
so,
In other words, where the tracks are pulled up,
mhm.
I mean, you've got all that land right there, which I know is private.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
private by
Yeah.
the historical society.
Yeah, 'cause I was under the
Yeah,
impression
sure.
when it was on the village that the historical society and ARDA may have been in discussions and that could have been
Yeah, so, I
Collaborative
mean,
endeavor.
it's right next to it. I'm sorry for not bringing in my laptop at the moment, but it is pretty much right next to it. Can I just,
Oh, yeah.
can I take a peek?
I guess the historical society. is a
Right.
chunk of land.
Yes,
So
so
it's gonna be right here.
Okay, so it is, okay, that's what I
That's
meant.
close.
Yeah, so it'll be right here, and then it'll be parking, one way in, one way out parking, bathroom facility on this side, some directional signage, and then you kind of cross the street and,
Go
go
down-
out,
go down
yeah, go
this
out on
way.
the trail.
Okay,
That's
Yeah, so
a
that's,
driving
yeah,
spot.
I'm trying to think, somewhere in this area,
okay.
that it would be.
Because originally, with previous discussions that I've been part of with your organization, obviously prior to your
Mhm.
emergence, they said that they were negotiating with private landowners and it wasn't going well.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any new discussions with
Okay.
private landowners about parking there. I think that that's an excellent resource. I think that it would be wonderful if where the snowmobiles are currently situated, along near the fire department,
Right, yeah.
that there, if there was something larger, more formal that indicated parking was available there, I think that would be helpful, given the number of users we anticipate. But I think that's kind of part of what this discussion looks like, having, Saranac Lake as a depot that's inaccessible at the moment. And for the next few years, likely, given the funding that's required there. But there needs to be some discussions about where parking is, where we should be directing users to park, because largely, if it's outside of that trail corridor, the DEC is not going to look into that. So we need to be thinking about that, because otherwise, you'll have individuals parking in neighborhoods and in front of yards.
Well, one thing, the other thing is, you mentioned the parking, parking lot behind the firehouse. That's also our snowfield.
Mhm.
So in a given winter, it might be no room, or we can't have vehicles in there at a given time.
Yeah, that's a reason why when I went out on the trail to ski it, just to test the idea of how comfortable am I skiing on the trail while a snowmobiler goes the other way. Wasn't that bad, actually. But I did.
Say that, or is that your
No,
actual-
they slowed down. I was really pleased. I said, well, this is real. This is happening. They slowed down. They waved, and I passed someone with that bike. It was pretty easy. But I think that, but yeah, I was kind of figuring out, I was like, well, where do I park here? Because I'm either at U-Haul or that, and it was snowing that day. And I was like, I don't want to park and get in someone's way if they're bringing in all the snow there. So I think that,
Yeah, because last winter, because obviously the snowfield on West Valley, we can't use.
Yeah.
Haven't been able to use it for a couple of years, and this year. So it fills up, the other one fills up faster, and I noticed you get like maybe 6 trucks and trailers in there, and it's full.
Yeah, and I think that there's the snowmobile club has parking nearby, but not there. So I think that it would be great if more people use that space. But perhaps this would be additional parking in summer months.
Oh, yeah, summer months is.
For overflow.
Oh, yeah.
And if we could just work together to figure out the ways to kind of, talk to people about, this is kind of the standard parking spot. Overflow is here. If you just want to be a little bit closer or further down the trail, this is where you're going to go.
Yeah, because summertime, the basic use is, it's not used as much as it was for a horse show.
Yeah,
Park the trailers
exactly.
there, and that's
Yep.
it. Yeah.
So the priority tonight is to sign us up for the MOU.
Yes, no funding required, but we would love your support at this time. I'll email you tomorrow with an ask.
I assume,
There's not a lot of us.
Break it into parts.
I assume you've all read the MOU. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Just join the club.
Yeah, and like I said, we are not making any decisions for you. It is really, we want someone from the town on the board. We want you involved in the discussions. we feel that, there needs to be representation, but having this agreement in place allows us to kind of be the face of work with each of the municipalities, work with the business community so that there's this uniform plan. And, as best as we can come to agree upon things that Saranac Lake knows what North Elba is doing, which knows what Tupper Lake is doing, and we can come up with what works best for all of us.
Brian, I think it's only fair to first say thank you to Arda for stepping up and being willing to be the focus, because if we did it on individual towns, it really could be a nightmare getting organized to bring everything together. So anyway, a sincere thanks for what you're doing. And I'm certainly prepared to move forward with this MOU.
Not voting on, no one.
You will
No,
vote.
not gonna vote no. Oh, so moved. There we go.
All right. Is there any further discussion on accepting the MOU? All in favor? Aye. No one's opposed, so.
Wait, who made them?
Jason, you didn't oppose something.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if we were officially doing that.
Where is she? That's for the record.
That's right, when he wants it on the record.
For the record, this is a great idea.
Thank you so much.
Anyway, Brian,
Thank you.
thanks for everything you do. And now that we are on board, you'll be back to us, and collectively, I guess we will choose someone. Like, for the last 10 years or better, Chuck Damp has been our representative. All the DEC meetings, he's forgotten more than this board collectively knows.
Yeah, so that's kind of why we're thinking that we want someone that the board feels is someone who has the bandwidth to take this on and has the knowledge and the interest to be involved in this, because it's, I'm not gonna say it's a lot, but it's a big project. So I know that you guys are all very busy, so it really can be someone that you think is best suited.
Is Chuck a member of ARDA now?
Not on our board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So certainly that would be satisfactory for us. So I will send that email, and then we'll have kind of a formal nomination and voting in February on the board.
So Rick and Dick, and not that you two aren't invited, you certainly are, but if we, Chuck is a regular at Brew House, so we can corner him there.
If you need me to help with the pitch.
Why did he pick us?
I'm sort of insulted.
I'm also.
Well, now you're getting something, right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I look forward to working together. Thank you.
That leaves Jeff, and I'm guessing.
I'm Tatiana. Hi, nice to meet you.
Good to meet you, Tanya. I'm Derek.
Nice to meet you.
You got 4 minutes.
Come on up.
Oh, we'll
Chop
take-
chop.
I think we only need 3.
Come on up, sit with us.
Oh, I don't know anything about this. I just was told I'm doing this.
Everybody took a step
I
back.
am guilty by association. I don't know if I want to be yet.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so we're here for ratification of the executive committee for Lake Placid Sports Council. And so we have 5 people in mind, have talked with other people about, and it all seem like good people to be involved. Tatiana is one of them. Rick is one of them. Mark Galvin, somewhere else in this building, I guess,
Yeah.
is one of them. Go to the brew house afterwards, I guess. And Brian Magnus. So it's, 5 people. Those are the 5 people who we would like to be the executive committee. And then after the formation of the executive committee, then it would be, working final steps of looking into the bylaws. And then after that is done, we'd probably bring on, the other members of the Lake Placid Sports Council.
Exactly. And I'm grateful that Mark is still on board here. Mark, my question would be, quite often I assume, and I probably shouldn't assume, but I'd like the ability to recognize this executive committee that will both work with you on the final steps of the bylaws, but also keep this moving forward, if you will, by looking for future members and just keeping this endeavor in motion. Are you okay with accepting this executive committee?
Yeah, it's totally fine with us. We're already in a dialogue. There's information gathering happening. We're 100% comfortable.
Good deal. So once Mark sends the bylaws through and you guys are comfortable with it, then as a board, we'll sit together and look at it. And without getting into specifics here in a public, I have a few concerns about our primary direction and where it might go down the road. So in any respect, I think that's the timetable I'd like to live by. And I don't see any reason why we really aren't a more formidable group, let's say by spring. I think that's fair.
It's a very fair timeline.
And I mean, just look at the presentation we just had, if you want to correlate
Yep.
to what you guys are going to put together.
Yeah.
I can envision shared funding certainly between all the towns, DEC and grants, which results in, let's say, a four-wheeler at both ends, Tupper Lake in here, York Rakes, whatever.
Yep.
Equipment, a shed, and together we figure out where parking's going in the whole bit. It's another exciting multi-community direction that I think will prove this sports council or help prove it.
Yeah, and I overheard him say that, need for volunteers, that's obviously one of the things that we want to be engaged in.
Sure.
So, and there's also probably a level of coordination in between Beta and ARDA, because they are, it's in the unit management plan to have mountain bike trails off the rail trail.
Exactly.
So, they're, helping bring those organizations together, talking and working together.
Think of promotion. You guys come into a town board meeting with Beta and say, hey, listen, we've got a corporate group of fat bikers that want to come here for 10 days. They want to do the 34 miles. They want to do the Jackrabbit Trail.
Yeah.
And before long, we're trying to figure out, half of them want to camp out. Where are we going to send them?
Yep.
So.
Yep. We're speaking of just to kind of feedback from someone in the community. I mean, if you guys haven't been up, obviously we're missing snow right now, but last week out at Craigwood, that was amazing. The skiing was great. The fat biking was great. It was just this, great community atmosphere where there's just families out there with their dogs skiing around and then going upstairs and getting food. I went there several times and everyone's just like, this is what it's supposed to be like. What I mean? And it really, we shined during Christmas week. We absolutely shined up there during Christmas week. So.
No, we're just as excited as you are. What's that?
And then it rained.
Yeah.
And then it rained.
Yeah,
Exactly. It'll come back.
So anyway, my thanks to both of you and of course Rick, because I conned him into getting into this, but he has so much experience in the racing industry, and so little by little, we're gonna grab every aspect and make it work.
Great. So is it officially ratified?
Well, I'm gonna.
So.
I'll tell you what, you're on a roll.
I didn't have to nudge you.
No, I was ready for it. I was surprised you're not taking this.
You're gonna
Sorry,
second it?
I know that's right.
All right. We probably had enough discussion, but I'll take more if you want.
But just to reiterate, what are we moving on?
Just the
Well,
executive.
now you gotta be the party pooper, okay? I was gonna ask, we don't, it seems like an informal collection of executive, like, nothing that the bylaws would dictate, so.
The previous bylaws supported a 5-member executive committee.
Right.
That's what we're doing. We're putting that in place. So as a group, they can start moving forward.
So I agree.
And you got the 5 people that are.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I can do math.
Yeah.
It's kind of vital.
And because it's been idle, normally there would be kind of elections and so forth to kind of fill those types of positions, but because it's been idle so long, then it goes to provision where the town board ratifies it.
And it should be noted, they're not autonomous. They report to the town board.
Oh,
So they're an arm of us.
Okay.
Yeah. Rick already is, but.
Yeah.
Norm and
He's
Yes, he was.
he's got an extra arm on. All right, so all in favor? Aye.
Who's
I
second?
must abstain, so I
Dick.
can't vote for myself.
Get them so loud.
Chelsea,
Very
you get
good.
that? I
Nice
abstain.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Just the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Just the beginning.
We are a good group to work with.
Oh, I don't know. Guess looks sketchy.
But we're looking forward to everything you're gonna do
She's looking at you.
to help solidify the
I
community.
did a whole can of ranting.
Thank you. Yeah, at least you eventually got to start with you.
excellent.
Wonderful.
Yep, excellent.
Thanks for your.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thanks,
No
Jeff.
problem.
See you soon with more to talk about.
Oh,
more to talk about.
All right.
Yep.
Good deal. That's all right. So, next item of business under new business. Pretty sure Chelsea sent it to you. A statement from Todd where he's read and hereby accept the settlement of McDonald AL versus the town of North Elba. That goes back to an assessment dispute over at the White Base Club and Resort. I believe it was all at Brook Hill Association. Anyway, a settlement has been reached, and I need a stipulation of settlement from this board so that Ron Briggs can represent us and file that stipulation in court.
And it resolves it, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Todd is happy with the resolution.
Exactly.
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Emily, second by Rick. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. No one opposed, it's carried. Thank you. Next item, I need a resolution accepting the nomination to our board of directors of Jen Webb. The letter, you didn't send that to the governor yet, right? Okay,
So moved.
Well, that just needs to be signed.
that's right. Okay, moved by Dick, second by Jason. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. No one opposed, carried. We're in need to appoint Claire Doring to the Joint Review Board for a 5-year term, starting January 1. And let's see, she'll be replacing Billy Walton, who is not a resident any longer. Wait, what is there, like, Sammy? Yeah.
That was worse.
Anyway, certainly I'll thank Billy for his time served and welcome Claire Doring. I'll take a motion to accept. Dick, second, Jason. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. No one opposed, carried. How do you want to do wait list? Do you want to wait for committee reports or do you want to do it now?
No, let's wait, because we'll get Kathy out of here, so she doesn't
Okay.
have to get held up.
All right.
Everything.
Kathy, if you're still on, do you want to go over budget adjustments?
Yeah, I'm here. Before we do the budget adjustments, I want to talk about the personnel stuff that wasn't put on the agenda because I was too late.
Kathy, that was the last email that came through?
Yeah, I believe the last email that I sent you had the budget adjustments.
Want us
The
board meeting?
the abstract,
Personnel action.
Personal actions.
personnel actions. And also a standard workday resolution for the New York State retirement system. So the first thing I need from the board is a resolution approving the change of the 2 positions for account clerk and building and planning clerk. This would be Rose and Britt's positions from a 7-hour standard day to an 8-hour standard day.
Is that that's in the PDF, okay.
Yes,
Sorry,
that's
I was
PDF.
wrong.
Which one? Is that in the,
And that same email, but under the PDF, thank
so
you.
that's what we're doing? I thought we were doing personnel. No.
That is personnel.
That's part of personnel.
But it's PDF,
Yes, it's the PDF, that's right.
Oh, I got you. Okay, resolution for employees.
So so you need a separate approval of that?
So I'll make a
I
motion.
need the board to pass a resolution and then I'll have Lori certify it when I get back in the office.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to accept those changes in hours.
And the standard work week.
From to 8 hours, yeah.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. No one opposed? That's carried.
Okay, and then going to the spreadsheet, the Excel spreadsheet for personnel. We have 2 new hires as of this 2023 budget year. Sharice was one that we had already discussed through budget workshops. So the board approved that budget for $47,000 annual salary basis. So
Right.
no overtime. That would be a 40-hour standard work week. And then Mike and Todd have come to the decision that they would like to offer Jennifer Preston the position that was put in the budget for this year for the 30 hours shared position between their 2 offices at $20 an hour. They contacted her, she accepted, and the plan is that she'll come in on Friday to start paperwork.
Okay, so you'd like a motion tonight?
Yeah, and then, of course, we have to also accept Gabriella Daly's resignation from the transfer station. So those 3 things need a motion.
Okay. So moved. Seconded by Jason. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No one opposed? It's carried.
All right, thank you. So now moving on to the budget adjustments. Same old, same old. I sent you guys the email. There's a lot of them. The majority of them are the last payroll for 2022. The from my office, 3 more toners that we had to order and got billed for the old Canon that is going to be given to Haley. I got my new copier in finally, and we love it so far. Gas for November, the diesel for November is in this. That's the $27,800. There's $5,000 for the Craigwood cross-country skiing that's coming out of ARPA funds. There is another $7,800 for Raybrook Wolf Pond Way emergency repair that's also coming from the ARPA funds. And what else? There is about $17,700 for park maintenance grounds repair, which is our final bill for 2022 for turf management to repair the athletic fields after all of their lacrosse and rugby and all that stuff that they do. It's a little bit higher than what we had budgeted for 2022, so I hope we have enough for 2023.
Kathy, my only question is I don't know if it needs to be noted, the 5,000 for Craigwood and the use of the ARPA funds, that it was specifically to reimburse High Peak Cyclery for the purchase of lights.
Right.
And that those lights.
Purchase of lights.
I just wanted that noted somewhere that those lights belong to the town of North Elba.
In our last meeting, we noted that too.
Yeah.
Noting it again.
More the better.
Yeah,
Because the way this reads, it seems like we gave some subsidy to High Peak Cyclery.
right.
So
Yeah.
if the town of North Elba actually bought the lights, I mean, if the lights cost $5,000, my question would be to the board, why didn't we just buy the lights instead of going through High Peak Cyclery?
Yeah. Well, we needed him.
I think it was a timing kind of thing.
Yeah. He found the source through working with Dewey Mountain and Tupper Lake on
Mhm.
theirs for the lights. So it made sense. And it was his free labor that put them up. So, by the time we could secure the money, he just went and ordered it. Anyway,
Okay, so are these lights permanently installed, or can they be
Well,
taken down at the end of the season?
yes and no, they're put up with screws into trees all around the course, and they work on a solar shield, so they can be taken down and put in other places.
And I think, they can be turned off,
Oh,
Well,
yes.
like, so that they're like,
Somebody's gonna be
so
against
when you don't need, like, in the summertime, when there's no one skiing, you don't need the lights, you can turn the lights off.
Right,
But I don't know, I
So-
have to manually turn the lights
you do.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
And is $5,000, like,
right, just- yeah.
how much these lights would have cost? Like,
Well,
I guess my question is, do you want me to put these on our insurance policy in case they get damaged?
No, Mike,
Okay.
they're individually 500 of them, and per unit, they're not that expensive. I know 5,000 seems like a lot of money, it really isn't. And we got such a good deal on these that I expect we will lose some lights through damage or
Okay.
down.
It's not necessary to insure them, just replace them.
No, it's
Okay.
not, I don't see it as a liability issue for insurance.
Well, then if the board's okay with it, I will just update the spreadsheet to indicate that the $5,000 was a stipend to reimburse for the purchase of the lights.
Exactly,
There you go.
Would that be okay?
perfect.
Got it.
Okay, so we'll do
And
that.
The lights belong to the town.
Produce up.
I'll make a note and I'll verify.
Like, everybody's like, you're not getting. That makes your point.
He needs that one or two, they're all ours.
Yeah.
So unless anybody has any other questions regarding these, I'm not gonna say much else, but I do want to just put in the comment that for February and possibly March's board meetings, there may be other 2022 adjustments for the budget as I work on the annual report, because usually I find things that need to be moved around if they were booked in the wrong place or something like that. Plus, we haven't got the gas and diesel expenditures for 2022 in. And there's professional services that we haven't received invoices for yet either.
That's fine. Kathy, before we let you go, and I have Mark Schachtner on the line, I'd like to explain one issue that's in front of us. I've never been part of going through this, and I think I'll let Dick tell the story on our two trucks in the town that's in trouble.
Okay, I was gonna bring up later, I can bring up now, yeah.
Well, but you see,
No, I can,
because
that's fine.
I've never been through it,
Right,
and I want
Yeah.
to know if Mark needs to write any certain language for us selling
okay.
to another
yeah,
town.
Yeah, that's what. So Mark, what's going on is Kenny called me this morning, our superintendent of highways. And we have two trucks that are new trucks that are coming, which are obviously replacing two old trucks. And the new ones are scheduled to be here by the end of January, and we're on track for that, which I'll explain a little bit later. And in the town of Minden, in Montgomery County, there was a fire in, what'd you say? It was like a month ago.
Yeah.
And all their equipment was destroyed. And Kenny had put out a blanket email to many of his colleagues saying that we will have two trucks available, two tandems available. And he received communication from his colleague, and they're interested in buying those two trucks, which Kenny and I talked about a price this morning. That's to be determined. But our question to you is, what is required? Can we just sell them to that department, to that town? Or is there any paperwork required or whatever?
The answer is nothing fancy, nothing elaborate. Selling them to the town of Minden is fine. Make sure something that exchanges, make sure that papers that exchange says something about the trucks being sold as is, with no town guarantee of any condition or duration.
Okay.
Do we have to declare them as surplus in order to do that?
Let them surplus and make sure you're getting a fair value for them. You don't have to bid it out. You don't have to bid it out to most value, but it has to be a fair value. You can't sell them to them for $1.
That was my question, my additional question, if there was any procedure in saying, okay, you have to kind of, like a bid or whatever, any paperwork for getting a price or something like that. But
No,
like you said,
it's easy.
which we anyway.
Right, it's easier to sell stuff than buy stuff. So it'd be a different answer if we were trying to buy, but trying to sell, so long as we're getting reasonable, fair value, it's absolutely correct. Declare them surplus, sell to the town of Minden, get a reasonable value, and make sure there's something in writing that says no town of North Elba guarantees, as is.
Right. And as it's sold as is, correct, yes.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Very good.
And when we get to committee reports, I'll give you a couple other things, but
Good.
that's what we need to know
I
from
just
Mark.
I wanted
No, that's
the
what we need to know
opportunity.
from Mark, yes. Thank you.
Okay. So Kathy, I guess that's it for you tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
You too. All right, so we might as well approve audits. Have you each signed them? Okay. Motion to accept the audits.
So,
Rick, second by Jason. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No one opposed, carried. Let's move to committee reports. Jason, I'll start with you with our climate program.
Yeah, so I emailed everyone today. This is a resolution that would, it's one of the 3 that are needed initially to get, to enter the municipality into the Climate Smart Communities program. A couple of years ago, we did the task force and the pledge. The coordinator component was something that was omitted. With Elba Haley, we have this ready, so we pass this, then North Elba can formally get into the program, which the Village of Lake Placid has already been certified as bronze. We're able to piggyback, and we'll be able to use the majority of their data, so it should accelerate our ability to be certified bronze. There's 2 times where you can apply to be certified, which is June-ish, and the end of the year, December, and Haley thinks December seems to be the best bet. So all we need to do is just pass this resolution. It is appointing me as the Climate Smart Community Coordinator, but with that being said, that's just initially, and then it's going to transition under the Development Commission as one of their subcommittees. Haley's going to facilitate that. So we can maybe open up a larger swath of the community, so maybe we get more.
So you're gonna try and form a subcommittee?
Yeah, well, Haley is facilitating, and I would want to join on that as well. That's her thought process. She can involve the school process a little bit early. Is that feasible?
No, my thought process was like, it's just really hard to find people to do things right now. That was my.
But there's going to be, it's primarily going to be high school kids, some local community, and she's brought in, I think Clarkson students, they take on part of their project.
Now you know.
Eric Bacchus, is that his name?
Yeah.
He's the professor.
Yeah, he's communicated with he's worked with the village and the town on, so.
Now, a couple of years ago, I submitted quite a bit of information that wasn't used yet because the town's effort wasn't in progress. It had to do with tons of brush over at the landfill.
Yeah, Derek already did a lot of legwork on it.
Figuring out organics
Where
through
is
the
this?
landfill.
I don't know.
Okay.
And that's why I'm thinking you were on that too.
I was, but I'm just wondering where that document exists.
So there's some community, like Tammy Morgan and the high school students there, and then with Haley, there's a
We'll see
Google
if we
Drive
can
with a lot.
recover it.
We certainly will. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. We don't want to have to,
Right.
search through any sort of recreate the data.
There was salt mitigation research that was done on drainage systems. And so anyway, there's quite a bit of stuff that accounted to I want to say 140 points.
Okay, fantastic. So that's the goal. And then that was Haley's thought. And it seems, if it doesn't seem feasible, it's just, it would be more of a formal.
Soon enough.
What's that?
You can find out soon enough if it is feasible. But if you have Clarkson students, then you'll probably be okay.
Yeah.
And I think I know who she's talking about, and they're very, the one woman is very intelligent and knows the process.
Yeah,
I think
there's,
you met her at that league meeting.
Oh, I'm sure. Dodd, Carolyn Dodd?
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, yeah, Carol, it's Tom Dodd's daughter.
Okay.
With the wild side. So that's, I will keep you apprised to see
Okay.
the way the format and actually ends up. But at the very minimum, we have a substantial amount of data. Plus, if we collect what you have, and then working with Kimball, it should.
So you want a motion to accept this climate smart resolution?
Yes, so then we can be formally entered into the program.
So I'll move it. Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. No one, oh,
Yeah.
I'll remember that. Anything other than ambulance and something else, I'm gonna say no.
I guess Tuesday.
so, okay, I moved it, and who seconded?
I did.
Okay.
His ego is so big, you speak because of his name.
Can you move over a little bit, give us some room?
All right, well, then. All right, second.
But before you go on to that, the second thing is that I've been working with Haley as far as, we have the solar permit. We did adopt the land use code, but there's a permit in order to get points for the clean energy communities, and there needs to be a formal permit process. I'll send out an email with what Haley had sent as far as with the permit and the discussion points, because there are enough that it needs to be, I would think. I feel more comfortable that the town board, I'm gonna keep talking for a minute.
I know you're gonna sound, in a minute you're gonna get nudged.
So those are discussion points that I think we all should agree upon, and then have it ready for the workshop meeting on the 25th. Maybe we can, for the town, you can take action on a workshop meeting, correct? Is
Well,
that,
there's no minutes. so-
is it routine to move? Because it can wait till the next meeting in February, because of the village, they didn't take.
That'd probably be better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remind me for February 7th.
Okay. And I've been in contact with Lily Rother, she's a high school student environmental. She would like to initiate the discussion about water bottle filling stations again. She attempted to contact Bruce, but what wasn't fruitful. So it's going to have a discussion with her, and she may reach out to you, Derek, specifically about initiating that conversation again with asking you for your refresher about the recommendations that you had for spots for water bottle filling stations.
Oh,
And then
okay.
she will start the dialogue about different types, when and where, and what we can do about that.
I'm still at a loss for how to recommend somewhere here, knowing that the pipes are all lead-based that feed the water here.
They're looking into whether the filters can filter out that
Okay.
and whatnot. But there are other spots that would.
Yeah.
It would be, it's not going to be something that's going to, and this is what I explicitly communicated. Let's look for low hanging fruit, not push sort of an item that is going
Get it
to
started.
involve a larger sort of sub-project that's going to happen. Like this.
I have noticed that all order venues now have aluminum water bottles, like in vending and.
Any school, any university, any school, this is just, it's.
I kept thinking people were drinking beer really early in the morning, and I was like, I mean, not that I have a problem with that, but I was like, a lot of people drinking beer at, 8:30 in the
What is
morning.
this?
They look like a beer can?
Yeah,
What is
because
it?
they're like
Oh, they do,
aluminum,
yeah.
like.
Like those Miller cans.
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
Miller screw top cans, that's
Yeah.
kind of what they're.
Like you buy, like events like Yankee Stadium, whatever, where they get the aluminum beer.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Wow.
Yep.
All right, Dick, let's,
Let me just finish up on the
highway.
highway, not a lot more. The two trucks, they've arrived from the manufacturer. I mean, they're not here. They've arrived to I don't even know where they do it anymore. They put the plow and the wing and everything on. I know Arrowhead or whatever used to do them, but that's not who's doing it. So in other words, they're on track. Like a truck, the trucks are delivered to them. So it's not like last time we got a truck, it took forever for the truck to get there. And to get to that point, we are beyond that. They're just putting, and Kenny was within the last 10 days or whatever, was in communication with that firm or whatever, and they anticipate by the end of the month. So therefore, and the representative of the town of Minden knows that contingent upon us getting trucks and them accepting what we want to do for a price, which will to be determined.
Yeah,
So discussing that, they want them.
good.
They want them as long as, unless they find something before, but good luck. on that one, unless
Yeah.
it's some other town, but whatever.
All right.
Yeah, so that's on track to get two by the end, the two new Western Stars.
All right. Emily, let's move to you and this wait list.
Yeah, well, so this, I'm pretty sure is like I'm not gonna say the final.
This is the updated?
So it really is true, so this is, I'm gonna hand them out all individually so you don't confuse them. So this is, we're converting into 3 permits. We're going from like 7 or 8 permit types to 3 permits. 3 permit types. This is, oh shit, I'm handing out the wrong one. Whatever, you're gonna get all 3 of them. Lodging is what I just handed out, right?
Yes.
That's the least exciting. What I wanted to hand out first was the unhosted caps. So, I don't know if you like read the Saranac Lake report, like in newspaper articles about how they keep coming up. Jamie Pankowski can't explain why they keep, I'll have one more.
Why they come up with
Different numbers. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, you run these reports and for no reason, you check the same boxes and you get different numbers. And it's just, it's frustrating. And so this was the way that Britt and I thought it was best to do it, because it gives you, like, you're assigning a permit number, an address and a name, and also a district. So we can see where there's discrepancies. Like in 3 weeks from now, if Britt goes to run a permit, how many permits, and she gets a totally different number, she's gonna be able to say, well, like she cross-references with this list, which is a huge pain in the ass, right? There's 235 permits or something, but at least it gives us like we have a basis now of an actual Excel spreadsheet that lists out all the permits with their permit number, what district they are in, and what they would be classified as under our new system, right? Because all these existing permits are gonna have to, well, not all of them. Hosted won't have to reclassify, but the other 2 will have to reclassify. So the biggest news, so that's hosted, the third one, everything, is for some reason the formula didn't copy for heading up my unhosted capped, but it's 138.
Okay.
Instead, you just have a copy of the formula on the back. It's 138. So that's where we stand right now, and we have said it's 165, which we do have the authority to change without local law. We can just change through a town board action. But, so 138 minus 165, I meant to do this math before.
27.
So there is a room as of right now and as of this report for a growth of 27 in our capped districts. Are you questioning my math?
Nope.
Okay.
Doing my own math or something else.
Okay.
No.
Bunch in the same numbers.
Yeah, no.
So it is a little bit more of a growth than we intended, just because we thought over the summer when we came up with that 165, that the number was more like 150. But as Britt started to lay things out and move things to where they should have been, some things were like people didn't know what they should have registered as, and they registered as unhosted when really they should have been like a corridor permit. And the other thing we did too is I took everyone who we, based on our new legislation, was registered incorrectly and moved them to the right category. So if someone was registered as unhosted, but they were in a lodging district, then I moved them to lodging, because I think that we should be moving people out of capped areas if they don't need to be in capped areas. So like there was and even I did that even with hosted, because hosted is also
Well, the
capped.
law will determine it anyway.
Yeah, but some people were just confused and filled out the wrong stuff.
Okay.
So
that's 20% growth.
is that the math you did?
Yeah.
Is that what we,
No, we originally had 10%.
Yeah.
So which would be, that's what I was doing the math on. So basically, if we,
14 would be 10%.
right?
well, what, basically, 152.
Oh, 52.
152.
So I don't know if that's something that we want to act, like, and so, I mean, we could act on it at any point. We could act on it at our February meeting and have a resolution.
I'm telling you right now, we can wait a year, because if you think these are gonna go,
Yeah,
they're not.
I don't actually think there's enough growth out there. Like, I don't think there will be a wait
Right.
list
Right.
at 165.
Yeah.
But I would like to stick with the percentage.
Me too. I don't mind lowering it, but there is some pressure to open it up now.
That's what I mean. The movement will be slow, so
Yeah.
you can adjust, but it's a matter of when you want to adjust, and I think Mark will answer that question, because we have dedicated a number
In the
in
law.
the law.
Right, so, but that's it. So basically, we have to
Let the law form, and then we can amend it.
and then also, what I'm thinking is, okay, moratorium's over, see what happens. And then we can get a better grasp on it in our February
It
meeting.
doesn't mean we don't want to move that way, Jason,
Right.
but do we want to slow this thing down?
Slow.
Well, I don't think it would be slowing it down.
Changing the number right now, I don't think that'd be ill-advised. That Mark, of course, would.
Did you understand our conversation, Mark?
I think I'm following it, but don't we have some of these limits already in the law that was adopted, an hour ago?
Yes, we do.
That's
But
why
also,
I don't
it
wanna-
says in that law that that number can be changed by action of the town board. At
Right.
any.
Right, as can anything else in a local law. But,
But
I mean,
I guess it was my understanding that it didn't need to be another, like, we weren't amending the local law. It was, my reading of that section of the law is basically like, it's like permit fees. Like, we don't need a local law about permit fees. We don't need a local law about the maximum number of about the cap.
well, you need a local law about those topics if you already have a local law about those topics. Because if you have a local law covering something, you can only change that local law through an amendment, which is itself a local law. A local law is amended by local law. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so.
Didn't we say in the local law that we could change that cap by resolution?
Yeah, but Mark is saying that because it's in the local law.
If it says, I just don't remember because I've looked at too many things this week. If the local law says in it that that number can be changed by resolution of the town board, then that's all that's required.
And I'm 99% sure that it says that.
It does, with you. I guess, but the question is, let the local law ride until February. And then if we did, we'll see where we are.
But so, Mark, if we do decide that we want to change this number and it can be done by resolution, can we do it tonight? Or it's not on the agenda, so we wait till February?
You're allowed, it's not unlawful to do it, even though it's not on the agenda. We always give legal advice, or we try to give legal advice that's, of course, technically legally correct, but we also try to keep at least 1 foot on the ground of practical reality and sort of appearances. I don't love the optics of having adopted the local law at 5:15 or whatever, 4:30, and then changing it at 6:20 or 6:30. But it's not unlawful if it says that it can be changed merely by resolution of the town board, then it can be done anytime, including tonight.
And let's say for some reason we do see that I don't want to say becoming a problem, but what if we do open the wait list on January 9th and we have 20 people apply right away? To me, that's like a little scary.
Yeah.
And so,
And then reacting to that, then it seems the optics are worse.
Yeah.
We're like, oh no, we gotta slow it down. Like, I could care less, but I think for the optics for the board as a whole.
But at least by the way the law is written,
We
the
can.
people already know what to expect.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
So I say pass it as it is,
yes,
then react.
right. And they also know if they know the law, we can change it. We
That's
can
a
react.
whole, it's ninth is,
Yeah.
it's almost a whole month. I don't know.
I say we leave it.
I would like
For
to
now.
change.
Well, here's the thing. Think about where the people can ask. Here's my thought. Just the growth potential that is available in gateway corridors, there aren't enough buildings for those to go in. I mean, look at Old Military, look at Gateway, and whatever our number is,
well, they're under lodging.
Yeah,
they're under lodging, that's right. But I'm saying, there aren't that many available places.
And we have no indication, going into this, that there will be a large infusion of applications.
I just want to make sure that we move away from being reactive and then adhere to what the philosophy of.
Believe me,
the intent.
I agree with you.
No.
I totally agree. But as you know, this numbers chase has been really rigorous. It's,
Oh, yeah, I know, I don't disagree, and I think everyone appreciates the work that's gone into it, especially Emily. That sort of the window, like if you say preventing the worst case scenario, and I don't want to always gravitate to the worst case scenario, but if that happens, then we can't go back.
Right.
Then we can't, then like once the growth is all eaten up, we can't go back. Then what are we really?
Well, we
doing?
can't. We can go back. If we say, oh, we hit 165 in this month, and you know what, it's too much. We're now changing the cap to 150, then there's gonna be attrition out.
Right.
You can reverse the cap.
But that
It's
would,
about-
that
it
would
just has to
open
be-
it up to legal.
I mean,
that-
lots of legally questionable things, I think.
I haven't been participating in any of those.
No, I just don't think
That's
the
the one
optics
thing.
are good, just the fact.
I would like to go to the 10%, but not tonight.
In the February meeting, go to the
Yeah,
10%.
Yeah.
Look at, because it's just the gut check and sniff test.
yeah,
Yeah, let's see what.
But you do support
I do.
moving, like
I do.
changing it to the 10%.
Yes.
Okay.
But what happens,
But-
what is your thought process? Again, not wanting to go to the worst case scenario. What if it just gets eaten up and then you're like, oh, well, you know what I mean? When this is that one opportunity we have to kind of mitigate the growth.
I see the danger in reducing it tonight
I do.
of being intentional and not transparent. We're accused of that already.
Yeah.
And, oh, you passed it, now suddenly you can reduce it, so here, and they don't want to listen to the justifications as to why.
either side.
Well, generally,
Exactly, because I'm with you, Rob. I want to lower it too, but not tonight.
I think this is the one time where like say the residents and the locals will say, oh, they did that in favor of us.
You know.
I don't think one person has said, what would Danny Mason say today? No one's happy with us.
Right.
Jason.
Yeah.
So name one local who's happy
Well,
with us.
who's showing up the most? And I've asked, and I didn't want to get into this in the public, but what I've asked the people who follow me, it's apathy. Nothing is going to change. And I don't want to be like, this board was, and I'm very adamant that it's been a very transparent, thoughtful, thorough. The reason I voted, and this is, if anyone asks me, the reason why I voted no is it came down to when you did the parts. You did it very fair and very democratic. Who do you vote for, right? Majority goes. And that's all you can ask for. But that's the one time where this is a situation where we want to adhere to what we initially wanted.
No, I got it. No,
And
I-
if the hiccup's like, oh, we didn't recognize it, we're gonna look exponentially worse. They're like, because we're just letting this additional growth happen. Oh, we have an accounting error. Whereas we can very easily open it back up.
Look at the areas we segregated.
Mhm.
Tell me we didn't do some good.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying, we can't go back. You know what I mean?
Sure.
If once those permits are used, we can say, oh, we can go down, I can see a legal battle happening there. When you issue me the permit, now I can't have one.
No, it's attrition. Like you go to 150 and as those people sell properties, that you can't get a new permit.
Sort of what we're doing
I
for
don't-
neighborhoods now.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I think we're just allowing more of a problem, waiting for
There's 4
attrition.
properties I know of that's happened already.
Yeah.
They've sold and they're never coming back in that
See,
area.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. So I think, and, we can always change it some other time, even earlier, but I think right tonight, that's not the time.
And I guess to Jason's point though, and to Mark Schaffner's point, is that maybe if we do feel like it is a big concern, we hold a special meeting on January 20th.
Yeah.
And just for the specific purpose of changing our cap.
No, that's what I wanted. I was thinking the same thing.
And I'll just ask Mark to make sure that we can just change it by resolution without a public hearing.
I'm not gonna pound the table, but I shared what the board wants to do.
So Lauren didn't come back, so that takes care of that. But
Andy is on.
Okay.
But I'm not done. Sorry.
Me neither.
Because then we have our hosted
right.
and our hosted capped. And our host cap, someone remind me, is 48.
I think so, yeah, 48.
So if we follow the same logic of 10% growth, is that what we did on each? I honestly don't.
No, I think we did 15.
On hosted.
Yes.
Because it was such a smaller number, we
Yeah.
said, all right, so the hosted cap number is obviously also smaller when you,
Right.
when I pulled out things that didn't need to be in hosted. And
What was our
15
number,
left.
48?
It was 48.
The cap is 48, not was, cap is 48.
Yeah, I mean, we were discussing it was 48, yeah. But that was based on what?
It's probably more like 37 or something.
So we have, that's another one. Okay.
So then get out your little.
You're so.
So.
We know how I feel about it, so just like, there's a dialogue. We'll skip over that one.
You feel the same way about hosted?
I would.
So
The
that,
cap on hosted, that seems to be the biggest issue most people have across the board is the issue, I confused, I was confusing hosted with unhosted.
so that would be, what was our base, old base? Not the cap, the base.
I think it was 37.
37.
So let me do that.
It was 36 or 37.
No,
For,
because I think it was only 15, because that comes out,
Actually, I think it
40.
was 27.
Oh,
No.
is there actually more?
no. No, because that's, if you do.
What's 15% of 48?
Yeah, it's a lot higher than what you, because it comes out to 43, the cap,
It's
so it's higher than what you thought.
I can dig it up, my whole file's in there. I've got it all written down.
So the same question prevails, right? Is
Right.
like growth of 18 and hosted, is it too much?
Again, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but now is not the time to do it.
Yeah, but these numbers don't need to be decided
That's what I mean.
today. But I just needed to bring
But-
that to your attention.
Yeah, but, and good, and the thing is, if we do know where we were.
Now that's a
15%.
file.
So what is the threshold to be met for either one of these cap permit numbers to trigger a special meeting to act on it? So we don't get beyond the 10 or 15%.
I don't think there should be a number. I
No.
think we should just plan on a special
We can
meeting.
have a special meeting and address it. And if everything's going to plan,
Well, there won't be, let's just say, worst case scenario, they all get snatched up, then there's no
I think it's
reason
on
for a
there.
special meeting.
Original.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
right, no, but in February, we can
This
lower.
is on hosted.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to do is
Sounds like
having to
you're-
do that and then having to correct the issue after a generation or a decade.
Well, we won't, that's the point. If we put them back, then it becomes by attrition, there's your time.
Yeah, but then that's another, I'm saying that's what takes maybe, could be anywhere 5 years to 20 years, depending on whatever we want to sell.
25,
But I want to avoid that X number times that many years.
Well, let's
31.
monitor it,
Military, 2 is
For a week.
33.
see what happens. We should know in 3 days.
less.
Should, yeah, that's what, but I'm saying, but wait at a hard date of the 20th.
So
That's-
maybe that
we're not
number
being-
doesn't need to be.
Well, no, I wouldn't.
Flexible.
Oh, no,
But
I'm
it
just
does
saying,
allow for growth of 18.
I'll go with there. That's what I'm saying, we monitor it, and we have a special meeting.
I mean, it would increase by
To
one if we start by
The date is
the
reactive,
percentage.
okay?
So
Don't wait till 20th maybe.
So that category is
I think that's
So what was the number? What numbers?
33.
33, and we have 48?
Yeah, and now we're at
I
30.
remember us adding 15.
Yeah, so it
So
increases by
that's right,
one.
we just did, that's what
We
it
did a
15.
flat number instead of a percentage.
That's right,
Yeah.
that's it.
33.
So we added 15, so if we
Just kept it.
keep it. keep it-
Yeah, I would argue that we do not
Yeah,
already
I
touch
agree.
hosted. And the other thing too is that you can't build accessory dwelling units as hosted, as short-term rentals. There's no way this cap will
Right.
be reached.
That's,
Sorry, yep. So-
Now,
There is a way the other one will be reached.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
I
I say leave that one as is.
And then lodging, so I guess,
may I pause you?
Yeah.
So that is something that Mike has said, and you just echoed, and I'm sure, Mike Orselli, and I'm sure that came from you. So I'm assuming the code enforcement office is aware, so if anyone does get a permit and submits plans for that particular, they're very proactive saying, you can't do that.
Yeah, it's when someone applies to like renovate a basement or to build a garage apartment or put something, even a guest cottage on their property, they have a conversation with that person immediately and say, you cannot be building this for a short-term rental.
Okay.
So that's why there's not a lot of potential for growth.
Okay.
And that's when I do communicate with Jillian, we have good conversations
Right.
about that. And to Jillian's point, and also if you did read Danny Baker's letter to the editor, he doesn't quite get there, but I think that's what he's trying to say
Right.
about
Okay.
accessory dwelling units, is it's a visioning piece, because it's part of the comprehensive plan was like, that was very intentionally done,
Mhm.
that they could not be short-term rental units, because there was a housing crisis and a problem with long-term rentals, not having enough long-term rentals. So that's why the land use code committee didn't even want to touch that, because it's a visioning, it's a comprehensive plan, which we just got $98,000 for, by the way.
Oh, okay.
But, so it's a community visioning process, and if maybe the community is ready, they do want that change, and that's what will come through in the visioning process, but right now, there is not a lot of room for growth for hosted unless you're renting a room, which is totally possible, like maybe that will fill with people just renting rooms. But you cannot build an accessory dwelling unit and have it be a short-term rental.
So I think,
And those that are already doing it, is gonna be grandfathered in at this point, or is there going to be an assessment saying this doesn't meet the criteria?
No, we're not taking anything away.
No.
But anyone who has those permits, they most likely built those units before 2011, because that's when the new land use code went into effect, with a couple gray areas maybe after that until there was some new management in the office. So, but generally, people who have accessory dwelling units that they had a history of using them as short-term rentals were before 2011.
another question is, and I'm pretty sure, I just want to clarify for everyone, but I think I know the answer. Right now, the building office has not taken any applications for future short-term rental permits.
Well, the village lifted the gateway
Right, I mean,
for the town,
for a
no.
town, no, okay, that's what.
There have been renewals, obviously. that have been
Renewals, yes,
happening
but no
with these
new
houses.
applications. So I think we should ask the building department to, once the moratorium is lifted, to keep us abreast on maybe on a daily basis of how many permits applications there are. So we would know,
Coming in. Okay.
okay? Because Rick suggested the 20th, give or take. Maybe, and Jason and I had a discussion, maybe we need to do, if a chance we need to do something before that, then we know. In other words, we don't wait till the 18th to say, okay, what kind of number you got?
So
Right,
with the wait list,
absolutely.
you can't even apply until after?
No, I think we should open that's the other option, right, is that we could not open the wait list.
Right.
Like we could wait to open the wait list until January 20th or whatever, until we decide we want to change this number. That is the other option.
Yeah, true, but we gotta change.
See, that's the,
Yeah, I know, but I think what we need to do is just, rather than waiting longer than sooner, get a grasp on how many applications are coming in.
okay, so then it opens tomorrow?
What you
No,
say, the
no,
ninth?
The ninth,
Okay,
ninth,
okay.
ninth. So starting, so even if Rick or somebody there can just email us, got 3 today, we're up to 5, whatever, and if we need to react, we react. Don't really like to do something like that. We don't have to, for optics, but if we do, we do. And we may see,
I would go along with it.
it may, and we might get like, we might get to the point where, we'll look at it in February because they aren't coming in. Maybe initially they get, 4 in a day or 5 in a day or 6 in a day, but then it.
If we get 20 in a month, that's gonna be pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So right now, we don't need to react until we know numbers. So if we get daily, every other day numbers, and then we all say, hey, we got a meeting.
If there's no momentum, it's like.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Last item before we adjourn, I had put on executive session personnel.
Committee reports.
Oh,
Emily's gonna like this one.
really?
Craig would.
Time out.
Bye, Mark.
No, I'm not leaving. If you're gonna go into executive session, I have a point that I'd like to make to the board before you do, whenever you want.
No, we aren't going to executive session. I don't need one.
Oh,
Okay. Good.
So whenever you like, I have one final point.
Okay, let me discuss Craigwood
Okay,
rates. Season, pass.
yeah.
We got to go up with a number.
149. You're the one who said it. I don't know.
What did we
You said you got
discuss?
9 million.
Well,
199,
It is 199.
right.
What did we say? Up until March 15th. No, March 30th. I don't know where I got that. Till the end of March.
Yeah.
March 31, 199. Not yet, okay? And effective then, and I modified a little bit of what I said, 219. I originally said 229.
Whatever.
Which will give us
No, whatever, no.
$8,000.
But I don't think we should, and Butch and I discussed this today. I don't think we should raise the membership and the greens fees because we raised the greens fees last year.
See, that's what I mean, I was going by Jeff's recommendation, okay, to garner some more income. But like we talked a year ago, I think we should raise,
We're
alternate
already on the
years.
higher end of greens fees now.
Okay, good. So in other words, what we talked about a year ago was alternating yearly. So I think it's time to raise the pass.
Here was my impression is that I didn't think we were going to raise green fees, just go back to last year's rate, which was increased.
No, we were going to,
Yeah.
we talked about increasing them after preseason.
Yeah, but
After-
we should not do that.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine
We're
with
going to increase the
me.
membership,
No.
doing both is,
No, that's what I thought too. Like I said, I was going by Jeff's.
And I don't think $20 will deter many people.
No, I don't need it.
no, I'm going to advertise 199 like every single day.
Right. Up
So
and-
that
so-
we get as many people as
Right.
possible. And I'd be interested to see how many people actually buy it after it goes up even by $20.
Yeah, no, that's it. So your thoughts?
Craigwood loses. So my
No,
point,
you're right.
my point is that what the fuck does $20 per, I mean, it doesn't even matter. Like, if it matters that much to you guys that it stays 199, like, the
It doesn't.
bottom line of Craigwood is not gonna be ultimately affected by bumping it up $20. Like, in my mind, it needs to be up, like, there needs to be some, maybe the other resolution is not about greens fees, it's not about any of
No,
those
I know
things. It's about somehow doing something else so it doesn't lose money.
Yeah, but still.
Where are we losing money? That's my
Mostly
question.
personnel services, I would say.
Yeah.
Personnel?
Yeah.
We have
It's
too
about-
many employees?
No,
No.
we lose about $200,000 a year in Craigwood.
Right.
So is
Bottom
this-
line, apples to, yes, we do.
Yeah.
Ask
No, I'm
them.
asking how.
It's,
Like, this is the first I've heard of that number.
Revenue doesn't meet expenses.
yeah.
That's
So
right.
we're spending too much.
Or we're not bringing in enough.
Yeah, or we're just a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Right, but then
Is this
to me,
not a
that
good
doesn't
time to
make
say-
any sense because every year that I talk to Jeff,
Good time.
our years get better and better as
Oh,
far
they
as
do, absolutely.
memberships go. And
They get better and better, like the red is less and less, but there is still a significant red.
One year, we were $400,000 down
Right.
at
So,
Craigwood.
well, the thing is, anything we can do to either, take down costs or increase revenue, well, good. So I mean, even if it's $20, $30, that's why I'm throwing out, like I said, I threw out last meeting, the workshop, 229, and I'm just backing off a little bit, 219. And I'll look, or we can leave it, whatever. I mean, you're saying, I know what you're saying, but that's kind of a little bit knee jerk. I mean, if we can bring in $20 to $30 more per pass, it's $20 to $30 more income. Okay.
Here's what worked against us in the last 2 years. Chemicals went up about 27%.
Right.
The old way of doing things didn't pass the Environmental Bond Act, which changed. Anyway, that's one little thing.
Yeah.
Now, we still have to sharpen up with personnel that stay on board all winter. Last year, we only had 2, one guy was in jail.
Okay.
But then we had Billy come back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, but the things that we do to adjust can't overcome the cost of running a golf course. There has to be limits that we accept for a loss, being a blue collar course and serving the working
Right.
folks. So it is subsidized to a certain amount, and I understand what you want to do, you want to minimize that.
Yeah, I don't care that it loses money. I want it to lose the least amount of money as possible.
Another thing to consider is the fact that golfing, the population of golfers is diving. It's really going down. So if you raise it, I'm in favor of raising it, but if you raise it too much, I'm not going to play that much anyways. And so you lose 199 or the 220, whatever.
Right.
So it's a delicate dance.
You'd also, you might not lose the dollars per se because they might not get the pass, but they still come out and play. You know what I mean? I'm just throwing that out.
It might be a tough year economically for a lot of people next year, and maybe.
Especially
raising
school
might not-
teachers.
Exactly, it's like, especially when your percentage is very small in increment, but the inflation is exponentially higher.
Well, that's what I'm saying. People understand everything's going up.
Right.
And they're gonna understand it's either gonna be one or the other. But if we throw both at them,
No, then that's fine. You know, like I keep saying, we had a recommendation to raise both. And that wasn't my initial thought. My initial thought was this year, raise the pass.
so, all right, and
So we
what
don't.
about where are other places that we can save money though? Like, let's make, not just, let's increase all of these things. What else can we be doing?
Well, the
Do
thing,
we have too many, I mean,
No.
Jeff's asking for more employees. Is that, is that necessary or not?
well, good question.
You know,
Let's-
I mean, that's
no,
personnel.
No, but let's,
Do we need that many people?
yeah,
Do
but
we
I
need?
think our discussion
No,
right now
I
is
have a
let's.
question though. Do we need 5 or 6 guys who work in the pro shop one day a week?
If you ask Jeff, yes.
Is that going to help us though, if we have 3 guys who work the whole 7 days? I mean, is that a form of saving money? I mean, is there things we can do? You know, yes, we're gonna raise something, but is there other things we can do? Like, we've got 2 kids who work for us, like, they get 2 paychecks a summer because they're either going on college interviews or they're playing golf, like, almost professionally. Do we say, guys, you know, are you working or not working, and give those hours to somebody? Like, how many employees do we need?
And I agree. Here's the most major employee that's gonna be facing us just a year down the road, and that's Jeff.
Yeah.
And the question is, do we replace him? And do we have the management to be able to run that golf course without a pro? That's gonna be the next major
Yeah.
question you're gonna have to answer.
Right,
When
we're
people
also
come to
talking
a
about,
golf course that doesn't have a pro.
right,
I mean,
and
that makes a
when
big deal to people.
They don't care.
when Jeff is gone,
Yeah.
do we save money on the
I don't think
contract,
they do.
the
I don't
moving
think-
range, and the
Malone
insurance?
is
and
a
everything?
perfect
Right.
They don't have a pro.
They
He gets half the
went
range.
without one for 2
What's
years.
that?
He gets half the range.
Yeah, we're talking.
Yeah, I don't think
in
$70,000,
course
you lose
$80,000
lessons,
yeah.
but
That contract can be changed.
because
when
there's
we bring on
teaching
somebody
pros
new.
and then there's just PGA pros.
Right.
So I mean, when we're talking about a serious amount of money, we're talking between $55,000 and $80,000 right there.
Yeah.
I'm not, and now if Jeff heard us talking this, it wouldn't be good. It's not about that.
No, but we know
No,
we're
no,
not
no,
gonna
no.
have him for 5 more years. I mean, we know we're only gonna have him for maybe 1 or 2
This seems like a
years.
more involved conversation.
Yeah.
Like the other
Well,
on some
I
numbers.
just want, tonight, I just want to talk about the fees, so Chelsea can have information to say, okay,
Yeah, I just
199,
wanna know.
199, then,
Yeah, we can't change the 199 unless we do it February 1st or something.
well, that's the thing.
Right, like, can we give people some time, like, sorry, you didn't get one for Christmas, so now you pay
Yeah,
20
so like I
bucks?
said,
Or can we
no.
say, buy one now until this time, if you want it for $199?
That's right. And then, but we need to explain to them, because some of them will, maybe they're in no hurry.
Why don't we just not give them like what the next price is and just see if we can get a bunch of people to get
Yeah,
that
I
at
mean, I don't need to say
Well, that's-
$199 today,
That's what I was saying
whatever
about the 20
tomorrow,
bucks. It's
but-
not going to make any difference. If you do it 30 or 40, they're going to be running in here.
That's, maybe that's,
Oh, I had
that's something
somebody
we
called
should
today and
do.
they asked me about it.
That's a
They
way to
said,
have
what's
a
going on? And I said,
forecast
that's
how
the
much
right
we're
now, it's
actually
$199. There's a board meeting tonight. And he goes, I'll get 4.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
You know?
And if
So-
if you look at, last meeting I used the example of Whiteface, you look at places that have memberships, they will give you what each one is.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's what we need to do.
Mhm.
Yep.
And if we use that date of March 31, then we need to tell them on April 1st, boom.
Maybe that'll help solve look into your situation is that it goes up exponentially more in cost as it gets later into the season, before most of the season's gone. So you can really encourage people, then we can forecast how many do we have and how much revenue are we generating just with that. And then
And maybe we usually have a meeting with Jeff and everybody in April and
That's right.
say, look, is there any other avenues here we can take to save some money?
Oh, yeah. But that's,
You know,
but
we
that, like I
gotta,
said,
we have
that's,
to cut.
we do need to have that discussion.
Because if you ask anybody out there, everything is great and we're not losing money, we're ahead, blah, blah, blah. So this is the first that I've heard of that number. But I would like to make a solution to that as
So a
well.
lot of people get mixed up with
Revenue.
budget.
Exactly,
So we didn't lose money.
right.
Yeah.
But in reality,
But
but we will have to budget.
We budget for
So that's what I'm looking to find
And I
out.
tried that with MBT and they won't let me.
Okay, well, that's good to know, and that's something that I don't think.
You don't
any of them-
understand.
I don't think anybody else gets that, because all they do is.
They don't get to go through budget sessions.
Or to the
Yeah,
hospital.
so that's the first complaint. Why are we losing money, right? I don't know. So this
It's
is,
not like when you go
this
to
is very
government, it's like you're
informative
just
for
swarmed with
me.
employees. Like it's-
So then-
So why don't, think about a number and we will set it in February. If you don't want to do it tonight.
I don't know how to say, I'm just giving my opinion.
I'm okay with 19 because going up $3,000 in revenue over where we're at with membership is easy enough where I don't believe we're gonna lose anybody.
No, I don't either.
That's my
But it'll bring
major
us a
concern.
little bit, it'll take care of some of those chemicals.
Yeah.
You know, so is everybody okay with 19?
Which what, like, equate, like there's 200 people that buy it at $20 more?
Maybe it's just more of the bottom line isn't necessarily,
We won't realize it until next year.
it's just introducing the sort of flex sort of tier, getting people accustomed to that sort of like, you need to start buying it now as opposed to later. It may not be advantageous monetarily initially, but then it can be more flexible next year or the following year. if you want to be more aggressive.
Well, one of the reasons
Review of, hey,
being
next year it is
flexible
gonna be
is
this one
because
more.
Chelsea sold a bunch for Christmas.
Mm.
So in the future, if we want to be really on the ball, we do it and set it in October.
Yeah,
Well,
I
that's
think
what I
we need
mean,
more
right,
lead
like,
time,
we're
yeah.
doing our due diligence per se
Right.
by saying you have this amount of time to get for this price. But look, next year, this is gonna be the lowest and or it's going up.
Right.
But here's your
Yeah.
preview of
We
that,
said it before.
So if that's the sentiment, let's wait till February.
because we should, Butch too should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That was
fine.
not-
I mean, that's fine. I just want to be ready to say to people that, you know.
And you're the reason it's getting more expensive.
Yeah, but-
Chelsea should continue with her message though.
Oh, yeah, buy it. Buy it. when it-
Yeah,
buy it
I'll
when I-
promote it, and we promote anyway all throughout,
Yeah,
but.
Then if you get
I
calls
just
like you
want-
did today, say,
Right,
we anticipate an increase, but not to at least late spring.
We have a couple board members who pounding the table.
One quick thing.
Yeah.
I know Jason wanted the ambulance report, so.
This is why I came to the meeting.
Yeah,
We had an executive meeting yesterday morning to finalize ways to improve, ways to become more efficient, because the ambulance has asked the town, and hopefully in combination with the village, if we go the fire district route, for an additional $52,000. So I want to make sure that they understand that this is just not a handout, that they have to make some changes, even though the $52,000 represents what they've lost in labor, basically. But I told them you can't come back to the board year after year for more and more. So they put in, we wrote up a plan, and I'll get that out to you within the next couple of weeks as far as what's going to happen. There's actually a whole section on what if the ER moves in the direction that's been recommended by Adirondack Health. So.
Because I don't think people realize that we have to go to that county sort of situation. It's not very advantageous for us.
And don't think that's so healthy.
No.
So it's not easy. There could very well be a period of time, like we've been talking, where we need to work together.
I mean, there was a mass casualty this weekend down in Wilmington
Boy, isn't that amazing?
where there was, I think, 6 or 8.
You talk about the carbon monoxide?
Yes. And
I didn't hear about that.
they said, where's Essex County? Well, it's the weekend. They don't work weekends.
wait,
It's like,
Tell them what happened.
Yeah, I didn't.
Do we want, let's let Mark have the coffee.
Yeah. You don't want to talk about saving money.
Go
So
ahead.
my question was, I just want to make sure we're doing the belts and suspenders thing. We changed the local law effective date to next Monday, January 9th. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. So, and I want to make sure we're not creating a gap, and I'm comfortable that we're not creating a gap. If anybody tries to play fast and loose and submit something before next Monday, saying the moratorium has ended, I want to make sure everybody understands that what the local law says, that upon local law becoming effective, the moratorium shall terminate. So the moratorium is not over until the 9th.
That's what we want, but do we need to, we just need to change our resolution language?
No. I just want to make sure everybody understands that in case somebody tries to sneak something in. It's covered by the language. It's covered by the language and we're comfortable with it.
Okay.
But if you overnight it to the Secretary of State and somehow they receive it and get re-notified by, say, Thursday or Friday, then the moratorium technically is ended.
No,
yeah?
because it's still not effective.
No, because you've selected a specific date, which is the 9th. So it doesn't matter. It won't change till the 9th.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right? All right. Have a good night, everybody. Happy New Year. Good to see everybody. You're a great board. Keep up the good work.
Hope you're feeling better, buddy.
Thanks a lot. You went through it too, man. It's not super fun, but we'll get through it. Have a good night.
Good night.
Okay.
So he must have.
Should I ask?
Yeah, do we want to ask Fred if he has any questions? As he's there as a reporter.
Hey, Fred, do you have any questions, Fred? You're muted.
It must have been his mute.
Did you put him to sleep?
Do we want to move to adjourn?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it was a 60% talking shit.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So,
Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, Fred, yes, we can hear you. Did you have a question?
No, I don't, but thank you for asking.
Okay, thanks, Fred.
Thanks for hanging in there.
Yeah, well, hey, just trying to stay informed.
Take care, we're just adjourning.
Okay, have a great night. Thanks so much. Thanks for all your work. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So that was Jason.